All right, let's just get right into it. The wearable world has been absolutely buzzing about the brand new Polar Loop. For what feels like forever, we've all been searching for a real, true competitor to Whoop, something without that dreaded subscription. And on paper, man, this thing looked like it was the one. It promised premium hardware, the trusted Polar ecosystem, and the best part, no monthly fee. But the launch, well, let's just say it's been a little bit rocky. And this quote right here from a user on Reddit, it really captures the firestorm of feedback we've been seeing online. So that brings us to the big question for this explainer. Is the Polar Loop actually disaster? Or is there a really promising device hiding underneath some of these day one problems? Let's break it all down. So first up, let's talk about why everybody was so hyped in the first place. The market for these screenless bands is just completely dominated by Whoop, and the biggest barrier for so many people, the biggest pain point, is their business model. It's that mandatory and honestly pretty expensive subscription, and that is the weakness that Polar and other companies like Amazfit are aiming for. I mean, this chart lays it out perfectly. With Whoop, you're on the hook for hundreds of dollars every single year. But then you look at the Amazfit Helio for $99 or at the Polar Loop for $199. You buy it once, and that's it. It's yours. For a lot of folks, that's a total game changer. This right here, this is the magic number. This is the single most compelling feature for a massive part of the market. Zero. $0 a month, $0 a year. You pay for the hardware, and you get access to the entire Polar Flow ecosystem. That was the promise that had everybody ready to buy day one. Okay, so the price is right. The value proposition is there. So the next big question is, what about the device itself? Did Polar actually deliver a piece of hardware that feels like it's worth that $200 price? And you know what? Based on the first impressions from pretty much every single reviewer, the answer was a huge resounding yes. Reviewers like DZ Fit and Chase the Summit, they immediately gushed about the premium feel. We're talking stainless steel, folks, not cheap plastic. The band is this super soft, comfortable fabric that you can actually wear 24/7 without it bothering you. It's ridiculously light, and the battery life is a very, very solid 8 days. Just looking at it, holding it in your hand, it's a beautifully made thing. And Chase the Summit, I think he put it best. Just on looks alone, Polar absolutely knocked it out of the park. It looks and it feels more premium than its competition, and that includes the more expensive Whoop. So we've got a great price, we have great hardware, but here's the real question. Does the performance actually match that premium feel? Because a device like this lives and dies on its data. And this is where the story takes a sharp turn. Because a beautiful-looking tracker is completely worthless if the heart rate data it's spitting out is just wrong. And when we talk about performance, the Polar Loop is really a tale of two different body parts. So when you wear it on your wrist, the way it's designed and marketed to be worn, reviewers found some pretty major problems. Chase the Summit pointed out that during interval training, when your heart rate is jumping up and down, the loop would just kind of get confused. It would lag way behind and really struggle to lock on. And this wasn't just a one-time glitch. It was a consistent problem. You don't have to take my word for it. This chart from the Quantified Scientist's super detailed testing tells the whole story with cold, hard data. During an indoor cycling session, which is usually a pretty easy test for these sensors, the Polar Loop on the wrist showed a really low correlation to a proper chest strap. It was actually one of the worst performing devices he tested in that scenario. But, and this is a huge but, here's the twist. The 5krunner.com, the Quantified Scientist, Chase the Summit, they all found the exact same thing. If you just take the loop off your wrist and slide it up onto your bicep, the accuracy suddenly gets way, way better. It becomes a reliable, and in most cases, a very accurate heart rate monitor, even during really intense workouts. And this brings us to the most maddening, frustrating part of the whole Polar Loop story. The device performs at its absolute best in a way that the company doesn't even officially support. You can't just go buy a Polar bicep band for it. Reviewers had to come up with their own DIY solutions. Chase the Summit even showed how a $15 band from a totally different sensor works perfectly. So yeah, the accuracy is in there, but you have to hack it to get. Okay, so let's say you go out, you find a bicep band, and you solve the accuracy problem. You're all set, right? Wrong. Because now you slam into the final, and frankly, the biggest problem of all, the software. The app is your only way to interact with this thing, and according to basically everyone, that app is buggy, it looks old, and it is deeply, deeply flawed. And this list, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. Their Reddit threads are just overflowing with people complaining about constant connection drops and sync failures. Both Chase the Summit and the Quantified Scientist saw their workouts get duplicated. The automatic workout detection is a mess. It's either so sensitive that it thinks cleaning your house is a workout, or it's so bad it misses huge chunks of a bike ride. And some of the bugs are just wild, like the user who apparently burned almost 1,000,000 calories in one go. And this brings us to a really critical flaw that DC Rainmaker explains perfectly. With Whoop, if you do some hard work, let's say you're moving furniture, even if it doesn't get labeled as a workout, that elevated heart rate still adds to your total strength score for the day. Nothing is ever lost. But with Polar, if their buggy auto-detect misses your workout, poof, that effort just vanishes. It doesn't count towards your training load. It's like it never happened. So where does all this leave us? We have premium hardware, a fantastic price, accuracy that's questionable on the wrist, and software that's just a mess. Is the Polar Loop in any universe a Whoop killer? Well, to answer that, we have to first be really clear about what makes Whoop the king of the hill in the first place. The secret to Whoop's success has never been the physical band. It's the brain. It's the software that just works, seamlessly and reliably, in the background. It detects, it classifies, it analyzes everything you do, and then it gives you actual coaching advice you can use. The whole point is, you put it on and you forget about it. That is the bar. That is what a true competitor has to beat. This really sums up the massive gap that still exists. As experts like the 5krunner.com have pointed out, devices like the Polar Loop and the Amazfit Helio, they're still just data collection tools. They make you do the work and then they just show you a bunch of data. Whoop has graduated beyond that. It's become a coaching platform. It automates everything and then tells you what it all means. And that difference is huge. So, after all that, who should actually go out and buy a Polar Loop today? Well, the 5krunner.com defines the ideal customer very, very narrowly, and I think they're spot on. If you're already deep in the Polar ecosystem, you have a Polar watch, and you just want something to track your sleep without wearing that big watch to bed, yeah, it makes sense. It's also for people on a tight budget who are willing to put up with all the software issues, crossing their fingers that a promised 2026 app overhaul will fix everything. And so we end up right back where we started. The Polar Loop is a product of total contradiction. The hardware is a masterpiece, and that no subscription price is exactly what everyone's been begging for. But the unreliable software and the wrist accuracy problems make the whole thing feel like a public beta test. Polar had a golden opportunity here to really shake up the market and challenge Whoop. But as it stands today, the Loop feels less like a killer and more like a massive missed opportunity.